Hello everybody, my name is Oris Daniel. So today we'll be talking about a film from the stables of Oreofe Williams Film and Theatre Productions. It's titled Appointed Disappointment. Now, Appointed Disappointment was written, directed and produced by Oreofe Williams. Just like every other of his films, we all know he produces and writes and directs most of all his movies. Now, the DOP on the set was Ferami Akin and it was edited by Timmy Williams. So Appointed Disappointment features cast like Thompson Emmanuel, Jessica Ajibola, Oreofe Williams himself, and Blessing Oseji. Sorry if I'm not getting the pronunciations of those names right. Now to the storyline. Appointed Disappointment tells the story of a particular lady that was disappointed by a guy that she was supposed to marry, her fiance, so to say. She was supposed to get married to him. Both of them were AS, and he told her that there was no problem, that they were going to sort it out, or they were going to pray about it, or thereabout, something like that. And then at the end of the day, he shows up and says it can't work between them, and then she was disappointed. Hence the name of the film, Appointed Disappointment. Now to the good and the bad. Now the acting and the cry by the lady who played this lady, was so good. The way she cried so real that she almost cried her eyes out. I could really relate that. It felt like she was really passing through that condition. There was no difference between her and somebody that his heart was just broken, or somebody that has been jilted. Now the next thing was that Joel too was good. The guy who played Joel was good in the way he acted. He acted the role very well. I liked the way he interpreted the role. He didn't have to shout. He was calm and he did everything appropriately, the way someone who is trying to pass a message of disappointment to another person, especially when it comes to relationship. Next thing was that Oreofe Williams is a good actor. He's a veteran. We all know him. He interpreted his role well and he was hilarious. He acted very well. Kudos to him for that. Next thing was that the camera angles were appropriate. The cinematography was okay as well, and the editing was good. Ladies and gentlemen, this is all I'm able to gather for the likes. Now to the dislikes, to the bad. Now the message wasn't complete. They wrote the rest at the end of the movie. Hence, the message wasn't complete in the sense that they didn't show us why it was an appointed disappointment. I mean, even if they will show us, maybe they'll say like 20 years later and then show us how this lady has now become, she has now met a better person, and how Joel regretted his actions or something like that, instead of just writing at the end of the movie or the lessons or the message. I mean, this is a movie. We need to see things happen and not just writing the message at the end of the movie. I needed something to make me take home that would correlate to the title of the movie, Appointed Disappointment, which I didn't see in terms of acting in this movie. Next thing was that the crying lasted for too long and it made the whole thing boring, and we were used to it. It felt like, can this lady just stop crying? It's okay. So I felt that like it should have been cut shorter than it was. Next thing was that actors were left to manage the space. It didn't give them chance to really observe their blockings, in the sense that they were not allowed to freely move on set because the space was limited. I felt like they were managing the space, especially for the scene where she was telling her friend about her engagement or about her wedding. I felt like they had to rejoice, but there was no space for them to rejoice. That I felt was a flaw. Next thing was that they were saying something else, and then subtitling something else. That didn't work for me. Next thing was that it was longer than necessary. I felt it should have ended earlier than it did. There were little sound problems in some scenes, and there was too much talk and less action. This is all I'm able to gather, ladies and gentlemen, for Appointed Disappointment. It's already uploaded on Oreofe Williams Live Fire TV on YouTube. Go check it out and then let me know your thoughts in the comment section. At last, I'll be rating this one a 3.5/5. Bye for now. I'll see you all later in the next one.